Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Again, today's topic is a topic suggested by one of you guys in the comments. So I really thank this viewer for this suggestion. All right. So again, the correlation between this and this, the twin flames and the path to enlightenment, why they are the same road. You see, it's from illusion to union. So this is that's why I named the topic and I had a subtitle for it as well, how the twin flame path leads to enlightenment. So when people talk about enlightenment, they usually picture monks in caves, gurus meditating in the Himalayas, or yogis transcending the body. But what many don't realize is that the twin flame journey itself is one of the most direct and ruthless paths to enlightenment available on earth. So see it this way, everyone has got a path journey to self-realization and enlightenment. And when we split our soul to two with our divine masculine, that path in itself gets us to exit out of the matrix. And this isn't by coincidence, it is by design. All right, so enlightenment begins when illusion shatters, right? And on the monadic twin flame journey, that shattering happens fast. Meeting our divine masculine is like someone throwing the mirror of our soul right in front of us, raw, unfiltered, and often brutal, right? All the places you lied to yourself, exposed, all the identities you clung to stripped away. That shock is not rejection, it is the beginning of awakening. And that's the reason why, when we are going through separation, we like when we surrender to God, our cry is one. And I've been there before, and all we ask for is, tell me why I'm here on earth and why I'm going through so much pain and why does it hurt so much. And this is exactly what leads us to the path of enlightenment. And in every tradition of enlightenment speaks about dissolving the ego. But most people can chip away at it slowly through years of practice. As monadic twin flames we don't get that luxury. Our ego gets bulldozed in weeks, sometimes days, after meeting our beloved divine masculine. He pulls us in so closely and just to throw us out and say, I'm not interested. Why? Because he's our soul, and our soul refuses to tolerate illusion. So, the very behaviors, the addictions, the masks, and the stories that protected you in 3D suddenly collapse. And that collapse feels like heartbreak, soul break, but it's actually ego death. The very doorway our sages have been walking through for centuries is the very doorway our divine masculine hands us in a silver platter. So at this point, you may be thinking, why? And you may be questioning, why? You have so many questions. Why would I choose this path? Why can't I just independently just get into enlightenment? Of course, you can. This is just a path. You have to see it as a pathway. There are a million ways. Because remember, enlightenment is not a destination. Self realization is not a destination, it is about remembering who we are. And that's why soul remembrance forms a huge part of it. You see where I'm going with this, right? So, that is the reason why you are not to feel that there's only one way. And that's why I always say, external teachers are just meant to inspire you to awaken your own internal teacher. And that's the reason why, no matter what you do, no matter what you try, you will realize that at the end of the day, what is actually going on is deep and it's special and is sacred. And that's why on this journey, as divine feminines, we will scream, we will cry, and we'll collapse in ways we didn't think were possible. And that's not failure, that's the nervous system emptying itself of lifetimes of density. And that is why the twin flame path is enlightenment, because only when you've burned through the illusion can the body finally hold higher states of consciousness. The rage, the grief, the obsession, they are not distractions, they are initiations. The zero point, the still point. Every enlightened mystic talks about the still point, the state where mind dissolves and only presence remains. Monadic twin flames, we call it the zero point. It's the moment after the purge when we realize we cannot control our DM, we cannot manipulate union, we cannot collapse ourselves to make him stay. We can only be. And that's enlightenment in disguise. Not bliss, but raw presence. And at its highest, enlightenment is the realization of non-duality. Advaita Vedanta, there's no separation between you and God. You are the universe, and it's highest. Monadic twin flame union is the same. There's no separation between you and your DM. The paradox, you don't get there by chasing your divine masculine in 3D. We get there by dissolving into the third energy, the unified field that already exists between you. That is the enlightened state, which is lived through love. And why does this path feel harsher? So why does the twin flame road feel more brutal than the monk's caves? I'm not saying the monk's caves is not brutal, it's also brutal. But when our soul is split to two, finding our way back to each other in the 3D, so from 13D to 3D, right? That's what monadic twin flames we experience, because it's accelerated. Our monks in the cave, they are not trying to find the other half of their soul, they're going through their own enlightenment path. So with monadic twin flames, it's accelerated. We are not detaching from the illusion in silence, we are ripping it out while staring at the person. Our divine masculine activates every nerve ending in our body, and this enlightenment at lightning speed, that's why so many of us we break, so many of us resist, and so many of us think that, oh no, this is it. But in truth, we've been handed the highest gift, to awaken not just in solitude but in union. So yes, to answer the viewer's question, the twin flame journey is the path to enlightenment, not because it's romantic, not because it ends in a fairy tale, but because it forces us, with no compromise, to dissolve the ego, burn the density, karma, and embody presence. And when you stand in the presence, whether your divine masculine is by your side or on the other side of the world, you will see what every enlightened master saw. There was never separation, there was only God, and God is love. And I wanted to delve a bit deeper. Why is it harsher than the monastic, the monastery path? A monk in a monastery gets to face his mind in stillness. A twin flame, as the divine feminine, however, we are forced to face our mind in fire. We don't get to escape into silence. We awaken while our body is shaking with longing, while our nervous system collapses under triggers, while you keep asking, why? Why now? Why? This is why. As twin flames, we may sometimes even feel cursed, while monks go through their own journey. It's not punishment, it's acceleration. So on the monadic twin flame path, enlightenment doesn't come by avoiding shadow. It comes by plunging into it. Every insecurity, abandonment wound, jealousy, rage, obsession gets pulled up to the surface. It looks messy, but spiritually it's exact. It exactly happens as it needed. From our own experience, we can speak for that, right? The shadow is the very doorway to the light. You can't bypass it. You have to walk through it. And that is enlightenment in action, burning through illusion by facing the very things you never wanted to feel. Enlightenment is often described as the collapse of past and future into presence. But as monadic twin flames, we learn this the hard way. We are pulled into past life bleed throughs, karmic memory, future visions, flash forwards of union until we break. Only then do we realize there is no past union you lost, no future reunion to grasp. There's only the field here and now, and that's where union is. The monastic paths often train the mind. The monadic twin flame path trains the body. Our nervous system gets wired to hold more energy, more frequency, more truth, more wisdom. That's why we shake, collapse, and burn. Because our body itself is becoming the temple of union. And this is not a metaphor, it is the science of enlightenment through love. At the highest point, enlightenment is the realization that separation never existed. And as monadic twin flames, we embody this in love. We go through years of believing our divine masculine is out there, separately rejecting us, until one day we collapse into the realization he was never outside of you. He was always your own soul. This is non-duality, Advaita Vedanta, not just philosophy, but as embodiment. And why the twin flame path produces teachers. Many enlightened masters emerge from caves, temples, or ashrams. And we, monadic twin flames, we emerge from heartbreak, silence, and rejection. And the rejection is not like normal rejection. Normal rejection, we'll just leave it as it is. If someone tells you that they don't like you or they're not interested or shuts the door or blocks us, what will we do? We'll we will probably be just so pissed off that we'll totally forget the person. But when our divine masculine does that, what actually happens? Heartbreak, silence, rejection, soul level pain. And that is why, as monadic twin flame teachers, we carry a different frequency. We didn't just learn presence in meditation. We learned it from love, loss, longing, and the unbearable mirror of our other half. And that teaching, what I'm teaching, it transmits differently. It's enlightenment woven with love. So yes, it is hard. And this topic does make me emotional. But here's the thing, right? The twin flame journey doesn't just resemble enlightenment. It is enlightenment, lived through the crucible of love. And the only question is whether you resist it and call it surrender, or surrender to it and call it awakening. Because at the end, the lesson is the same. There was never you or him. There was only God. And that's why the personal awakening is only step one. When we meet our divine masculine, the focus feels painfully personal. Why is he running? Why do I feel this much? Why is my body burning like this? But that is the only entry point. The deeper the truth is, our awakening is not for us alone. Every shift in our nervous system, every collapse of illusion, every fragment of ego death we experience, it all ripples into the collective. Think of your union field as a prototype, right? The love you and your divine masculine embody isn't just your story. It becomes a grid for humanity. That's what they call the rainbow bridge, When more and more of us come into union, it builds the rainbow bridge. Why? Because union isn't just about me and my divine masculine. It's the living proof that duality can collapse into oneness here in a human body. On the path of enlightenment, karma must dissolve. And for twin flames, that process is amplified. You're not just burning personal karma, but ancestral and collective layers. And this is why our heartbreak feels bigger than us, because it is. Because it is. We are purging layers of illusion held by our entire bloodline, community, and humanity. Our tears are not wasted. They are surgery for the collective field. Have you noticed how raw and visible our twin flame pain is? It leaks into our friendships, our work, our body, our creativity, and that's not an accident. It's because our journey is not meant to stay private. In a way where art, we create teachings, we create, it's meant to serve as a mirror. Others awaken simply by witnessing you, and that is why so many of us end up teaching, creating, and transmitting. We didn't choose it, the path chooses you. So as twin flames, when we embody union, it doesn't just heal our love life, it creates a frequency anchor that raises the grid of Earth itself. And this is why reunion windows align with portals, eclipses, retrogrades, and global shifts. The universe is not scheduling a romance, it's orchestrating collective enlightenment through your bond. The twin flame journey humbles us like nothing else. We cannot force it, manipulate it, or control it. Yet at the same time, it places immense power in our hands. The ability to influence collective consciousness just by healing ourselves. And that paradox, humility and power, collapse and expansion, is the hallmark of enlightenment. And as monadic twin flames, we embody it very uniquely, very, very uniquely. That's why all our paths are very, very different. So here's the truth: our twin flame journey is not just our fast track to personal enlightenment, it's the earth's fast track to collective enlightenment. That's why it feels so unbearable, so messy, so sacred, because we are not just awakening for ourselves, we are awakening for all. And that's the reason why it redefines our entire path in so many ways. I just want you to take a moment, to just reflect. Before our divine masculine came into our lives, before our twin flame awakening, work feels like a survival game, right? We're just living, we're just existing, but after the purge that collapses, you cannot go back to just a job. Your system literally revolts against misalignment. That's why many of us end up changing jobs. We try to find a spiritual balance in what we do, and we suddenly find ourselves pulled into mission work, and we try to balance it both. Why? Because enlightenment through union clears the illusion of external success. We cannot sell our soul anymore because our soul demands expression. The old money story is control, budget, fear, grind. The enlightened money story is flow. And in the twin flame journey, that path forces the shift, because the same energy that destroys your attachment to your counterpart also destroys your attachment to scarcity. At first, it feels terrifying, with the collapsing, but underneath, it's training you to move from fear driven paths to the enlightenment of abundance. Many twin flames notice how your awakening disrupts family dynamics, old patterns of people pleasing, guilt, and silence can't survive in the enlightened state. This is not rebellion for rebellion's sake, it's truth breaking through. The same courage, oops, let me just adjust my mic. The same courage it takes to face your twin flame union is the courage it takes to stand in authenticity with everyone, and this authenticity is enlightenment embodied. Romantic relationships before awakening are often about need, fantasy, or compromise. After the divine twin flame purge, you can't play those games anymore. You may find karmic bonds collapsing, friendships shifting, even old communities failing away. It's not because you've become cold, it's because enlightenment demands coherence. You now love without clutching, give without collapsing, and stay only where truth flows. Perhaps the most practical change. Our body stops being a container for stress, trauma, and repressed emotions. The enlightenment state forces us to feel everything. At first, that looks like breakdowns, sleepless nights, oversleeping, physical symptoms. But as you learn to embody, your body becomes lighter, That's why I say enlightenment. You become light and you become light in way too. More radiant, more alive. And this is why people say we glow after purges. It's not vanity, it's embodiment. Our body is becoming the temple of union. At the core, enlightenment through our divine masculine to the twin flame path shifts how we live every moment. We stop trying to micromanage timelines, outcomes, or people. We stop obsessing over the when. Instead, we begin living in presence, moment to moment, feel to feel. And that presence transforms how we cook, we walk, we breathe, we speak. It's ordinary life infused with divine consciousness. And that is the real enlightenment, not floating away, but grounding and realizing God in our everyday life. So that's why if you ever wonder what does enlightenment through twin flame path actually look like in a human life, really, oops, my mic. Work that's mission aligned, love without chains, a body as a temple and a life anchored in presence where abundance just flows and authenticity. And why union is never personal. When we step into the twin flame path, it's tempting to obsess about when will our divine masculine return. But the truth is, our bond was never only coded for two. It's coded for Earth. The frequency we generate as twin flames, even in separation, is designed to anchor enlightenment into planetary grid. That's why I call it galactic and planetary. That's why our story feels bigger than a relationship, because it is. Have you noticed your connection aligns with eclipses, retrogrades, 9-9 portal, the 8-8 lions gate, the 11-11 portals? That's not coincidences, it's orchestration. Twin flames act as lightning rods. Cosmic events are like electric surges, and our field channels into Earth. And this is why sudden activations, breakdowns, or we have dream contact often happens around celestial alignments. Remember, you're not crazy. We are working with the stars. Planetary alignment requires energetic scaffolding, what some call ley lines or grids. As twin flames, we are natural grid weavers. When we travel, heal. That's why I always say, when I'm traveling, it's multi-level assignments. Or even dream of sacred sites, we are feeding frequency into those grids. We are doing grid work. Some of you do it consciously, some of us do it consciously, but most of you do it unknowingly. But either way, the third energy you create strengthens Earth's field of awakening. Many of us twin flames, monadic twin flames, we are also star seeds. Why? Because the architecture of monadic union is not earthbound, it's cosmic. That's why our union carries memories from Mintaka, Andromeda, Sirius, Polaris. I can go on and on, Arcturus. And when we awaken here, we activate those codes. The activation doesn't just shift you, it reseats Earth with galactic memory. And that is why our bond feels interdimensional, because it is. When two people awaken together at the monadic level, we don't just change ourselves, we change. We make such a huge impact, that everyone notices it. Our resonance becomes contagious. That's the ripple effect of enlightened, stable union. It makes collective awakening inevitable because the frequency is too strong to ignore. And here's the final truth: union isn't a private reward, it's planetary service, it's galactic service. And as monadic twin flames, when we stabilize in enlightening union, the earth grid itself stabilizes, human consciousness lifts, and the cycle of separation, not just between you and your DM, but in humanity at large, begins to dissolve. And this is why the universe guards our timing so fiercely, because our love is too powerful to be wasted on illusion. So that's why when you feel crushed by separation, remember, you're not just two lovers trying to find each other. You're planetary anchors of enlightenment working with cosmic timing, great alignments, and galactic memory. Remember, our suffering is not wasted, it's calibration. And our union is planetary. All right. And finally, Take a deep breath in. I'm trying to do it as a short discourse, but I just feel like more and more just comes in. The twin flame journey begins by shattering us. The mirror we hold strips our illusions, burns our ego, and collapses our false identities. This is the same core teaching of every enlightenment path. Dissolve the self that isn't real. On the twin flame path, this is lived not in silence but in heartbreak. Zero point is not just meditation, it's the raw moment you realize you can't manipulate love. You can only become presence. Once our ego collapses, our field expands. Suddenly, you notice our tears are not just about us, they are ancestral, they are planetary. Every breakdown we survive empties not just our body but also the karmic weight of generations. That's why people around us shift even when they don't know our story. We embody collective enlightenment in real time, and Monadic Twin Flames, we are proof of that love, not escape, is the engine of human awakening. And beyond the personal and collective lies the cosmic. Like I say, each purge, each reunion window reactivates star codes dormant in humanity, and that's why our journey feels galactic. Why we sense portals, why we dream of other worlds, because we are not just awakening as humans, it's soul remembrance, alright? When personal, collective, and cosmic streams merge, we embody the full spectrum of enlightenment. Personally, we live free of ego illusions. Collectively, we radiate love that heals humanity. Cosmically, we re anchor galactic memory into Earth. This convergence is why, as monadic twin flames, we feel so overwhelmed. We are holding three dimensions of awakening in one body, one bond. The real secret? Physical union is not the final prize, it's a byproduct. And like I said, it only begins, the true journey begins in stable union. Because the true goal is embodiment, living enlightenment across all three layers. When our divine masculine is in our arms or across the worlds, the frequency is already alive. And paradoxically, once you embody that, reunion becomes inevitable because illusion no longer blocks it. At the end of this journey, you are not just two lovers who found each other. You are personal masters of presence, ego dissolved, collective anchors of healing, frequency transmitted, cosmic emissaries of memory, starseed codes restored. That is the legacy. Monadic Twin Flames, we are not about romance alone. We are enlightenment archetypes. We are not just romantic archetypes. So here's the synthesis, right? The monadic twin flame journey is the path to enlightenment, not a side road, not a special category. The very same enlightenment our sages sought in caves, whole souls go through, but live through love, loss, longing, and the unbearable beauty of the mirror. That is the twin flame enlightenment path. Personal, collective, cosmic, all three collapse into one truth. There was never separation. There was only God, and God is love. And that is the gift of monadic twin flames. Not just union, not just healing, but the living embodiment of enlightenment anchored into earth through love. And I truly hope this discourse inspires you, reminds you of how beautiful our journey is. Love you all again and see you all again. Guys, tomorrow, the 7th of September, is the full moon eclipse, the blood moon eclipse. I still have spots for the healings and activations. I have 3 spots left, so you can book through my website if you are drawn to it. But I'll highly, highly, highly recommend this. Is if you feel it, I highly recommend it. And the 9/9 portal as well. I've already started opening spots for it, so if you guys are drawn to book. And after the 9th, I've got the post 9/9 god and goddesses portal healings and activations. These two I highly, highly recommend. And if you guys want to work one-on-one with me, you can book via my website in the link provided in the descriptions. With that, love you all so much, and thanks to the beautiful viewer who suggested this topic. All right, take care and see you all again soon. Bye bye.